Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another show of Fuente Meerapfel presents The Professor. Hello, everybody.
Hello,
Hello.
hello,
Hello, everybody.
hello. Hello, Benoit.
It's nice to see everybody joining us today, and you are many. On today's show, we're going to be speaking about blending. Very important topic, very complicated, and to be very honest with you, there was a lot of discussion about bringing this matter on the show. We were not sure if it was a good idea to go this far into industry secrets, but the professor calls the shots. Professor, tell us about blending.
Okay, this is the way it's going to go. Two things are going to happen. Or I'm going to get a raise or I'm going to get fired. So let's see what's going to happen. Okay, one of the things that people during years have been really curious, wanting to know more, really passionate about it. And I'm talking about really the cigar guys, the cigar geeks, the cigar lovers, but not the guy, not so much, how would you say, the average guy wants to hear about it if it's brought up in the conversation, but we know there's a lot, hundreds of thousands of people all over the world that can eat this up. So we're gonna go into a bit of details. So people ask me, when you're gonna come up with a cigar, so what is it? You just go into the warehouse, see what you have, smoke a couple of leaves of filler, binder, and wrapper, and just, no. First of all, you get together with your sales team, you get together with marketing and say, we wanna come out with a blend. One of the things that I've always done, and Carlito is a big, respectful of this, you never try to make a cigar following somebody else. You want to be creative. You want to have your own style. We're like chefs. All of us have a different style, what we call a different signature. So we come up with the concept and we're going to call it whatever. Let's just take whatever cigar. So what do we first do? We get together and say, how many cigars are we going to sell? Is it 100,000? Is it 200,000? Is it 300,000? Is it going to be a limited edition? How many sizes are we going to make? So after that, we decide the sizes. We have the name. We have the concept. We have the history. So what do? We go into, take our laptop, go into and see our inventory. How many bales of wrapper do we have? How many bales of binder do we have? How many bales of filler do we have? How long, if this is to go on 200,000 to 300,000, how many years of inventory we have? Well, that said, then we go to the important part. Then we go to the fillers. At least this is what I do. Maybe Carlito does it a different way. Let's say we're looking at Piloto Cubano from 2016. So we go in there, see the bales, take out the tobacco, and make what's called pure grade. Grado puro. It's a little cigar that could be like maybe 4 by 44. The size doesn't really matter. Everybody does it a different way. And then we smoke that filler, but it's all the same tobacco. Filler, binder, and wrapper.
Right. And Professor, what does that do? That teaches you something right there, doesn't it?
Yes, there you're getting the characteristics of what are you looking for. Are you looking for sweetness? Are you looking for earthiness? What kind of sweetness? So after you smoke it that way, then you go and say, let me take, let's say, Criollo 98. Criollo 98 from where? From Mao, from Jacagua, from Gurabo. And you smoke it and make your notes. Let's say you want to give it a touch of Nicaragua. So what am I looking for? Do I want something very sweet from Jalapa? Do I want something with more earth and spice from Esteli? Am I looking for something maybe very, very kind of unique? Maybe I want a half a leaf of Ometepe from Nicaragua. Or do I want some tobacco, let's say from Mao? So there's a lot of things. It's like the chef. So we're trying all these different types of tobacco, and then we start making the blends.
Talking about chefs, Professor, we got a hell of a chef on the show today. And I would like to go to a little sneak preview and find out just what he's doing. This is Christophe Ardiquet, and hey, what's cooking?
Hey, everybody. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good morning for you. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. First of all, I don't want to show you a signature dish today because I don't have time. The producer didn't give me enough time to show you a signature dish. But
you know what? Everybody blames everything on me, but
every week I will show you a little trick, a little something to do at home, very easy, and to explore some different new techniques in 5 minutes. So I will present you today crackers, special crackers. It's like,
those are my favorite ones. Are those the gluten-free rice crackers you make?
Yes, absolutely. Very easy. You will see, Godfather.
Oh boy, I'm so gluten-free.
It's a good time for the springtime. It's good for the aperitif time with a glass of red wine, of white wine, sorry, and a few crackers. I will show you how I make my crackers when I get some guests at home, and you will be enjoying, I think.
Awesome.
So, look, who knows that? Spring rose, rice pepper. It's very easy to find in the Asian retails everywhere in the world. It's coming from Vietnam. You see?
Yeah.
This is the first thing I need. They are very natural. This is just rice, pepper, and I need a bath of oil and just a thermometer to see the temperature. That's it.
That looks
to
like
start my
Christophe.
little crackers of the day.
That looks like a weapon right there.
So I show you right now, Godfather, or I'm waiting a little bit more.
Oh, no. You just hold on right there. Don't do anything. We'll get back to you in a second. In the meantime, the father of all fathers just logged on. Carlito Fuente, how you doing?
I'm doing great and just praying that today's the day that someone can nail the professor, because I can't believe that he's had an answer for every single question ever asked. That's why it's called Meet the Professor.
That's
Papo.
awesome.
¿Qué pasa, Papo?
¿Qué pasa, mi hermanito?
Listen, were you here in the beginning of the show?
Yes.
So, this is kind of, it could be an extension of my years with you, or I could get fired. So I'm going to continue with this, and I want you to get in. So you heard what I said?
I do my best to keep up with you. It's not going to be easy, but I'll give my 2 cents.
Hey, stop it. Come on.
But it's fine. I'm learning.
Oh, yeah, you're learning.
Question.
Okay.
That's good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all
Okay.
good.
Let me finish with this part. So, I told you the part, we look at our tobaccos, what we have, we start smoking them pure grade. Then that's where really it's the challenge. It could take 3 months, it could take 6 months, it could take a year. I worked on a blend that was a year and a half, and it did very well with a previous company that I worked with at La Aurora. I know that some of the highly rated cigars and the most sought out cigars at Fuente, because I've had this conversation with Carlito, has been 3, 4. I think there's one cigar, and maybe Carlito will want to talk, that I think it took, my thing was between 4 to 5 years to get it where he wanted it. But going to the way I do it, so we start making the blends. Okay, I want 20% of this, Ligero, I want this Viso, I want this. So we make 5 or 6 blends. So we leave the cigars 21 days. Then we have a panel, we all start to smoke, and we all start to make milk. So we spent making all these samples, busting our brains out, and we give it to our panel, and not absolutely one person liked it in the panel. And you said, but what the hell? What happened? We had good aged tobacco, the cigars were well made and all that. So we start to look into details. What happened? Did it lack aroma? Was it too strong? Was it one-dimensional? Was it not balanced? So then we go to the table again and we look, what? Let me change this binder. Let me put a little bit more aviso. Maybe the cigar didn't burn that well. Let me put a little bit of seco. Because what a lot of people don't understand is sometimes you have great tobaccos, but what happens, it's like a head-up collision and they crash and the strength is overtaking the flavor, or the flavor is not coming out because it's not something. It could be a filler, could be the binder, could be the priming of the wrapper is not letting that cigar develop. So again, you take the good and the bad. Everybody gives your opinion. You look at, again, like a doctor's looking at an x-ray. So you make the next 6 batches of cigars. And this could go on for months and months and even sometimes year for you to nail what you want. Because a cigar, you could just make it and it's gonna sell. But when you're working on that special cigar, the cigar that you say to the team, this is the best F cigar I've made in my life. And it gets frustrating when it goes a year or 2 years and things like that. Now that's the way I do it. And there's a lot of details, but I want to hear Carlito's way too.
Oh, this is gonna be an interesting one.
Well, honestly, in my company, we don't go into that much effort, actually. It's always been my father and I. We put together a blend, and if he liked it, he put it on the market. If I liked it, I put it on the market. I work with Juan Sosa. And I tell Juan, get this tobacco, this tobacco, this tobacco, and make me a cigar. Then he makes me a cigar, and I said, no, take half a leaf out of this tobacco and add this tobacco, and so forth. We might smoke it again. I go, so there's something missing. But if we want to make something, we do it quite quickly. The blend for Dubai, for example, we put it together. It was something that was in my mind that we put it together quite quickly. When I smoked it, I said, no, this is it. When you have, in our case, where we have so many resources, so much to pick from of aged tobacco, I remember that there was one of my mentors, Don Pepe Mendez, says, bueno con bueno es bueno. Good with good is good. Although not always, as you say, Jose. Sometimes you put too much good and it clashes. But normally, I don't ask too many people questions because, in our company, because they'll have a different opinion. And literally, I'm responsible for every cigar that hits the market, every blend. And if I like it and I believe in it, that's what I do. And if it fails, I'm the only one responsible, because if I ask 50 people, I'm going to get 50 different opinions. And that's been the case with me personally.
I can understand that.
Well, that's very different approaches we see here. On one hand, we have a kind of a democracy. On the other hand, we have a dictatorship, and I'm not going to make my judgment on which one works better. But
let me tell you something. I'm not going to mention a couple of other companies that have been very successful that do it the Fuente way. What I said about opinions is, you're making a blend. You want to give it to a couple of people, because sometimes, you're so involved with that. Because at the end of the day, of course, you're going to be proud of what you make. And like I said, I wanted to hear Carlito's version. I knew a little bit about it, but I'm not the person to give that out. And
Jose, I'm going to tell you an old story. This is something my dad used to tell me when I was a kid. Carlito, I'm sure, remembers this, because Dad used to say it to his children and to his very close friends. And one day, I was arguing with my father about what's right and what's wrong and this and that. And my father turned around, he said, listen, boy, he said, in life, there's the right way, there's the wrong way, and there's my way. And you can be sure as hell which way we're going to do it. And when I see Carlito and the way that he raised me after Dad passed away, I could see that the blood is exactly the same.
The thing about this is, like, we're being as honest as possible. And I told Carlito, I told Jeremiah before the show that a couple of people called me up and said, anybody who's been following the show and has had aspirations to get in the business, they don't have to go anywhere. They just got to make a note and on all the reruns of all the things you've said, because you guys have given like too much away. And I said to the person, look, we could give it all away. And I've said this before. You gave the same Philippine wrapper to Carlito, Don Carlos, God bless his soul, if he would be alive, Juan Sosa, myself, Pepin, Jorge Padron, whoever you want to. And we would all make 6 different cigars because we all have our own style.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That's why there are really no secrets. And even though my father taught me, we had a different taste. And he had a different style of making a cigar than I did. I learned from him. And as time goes by, I go back to more his style of blending because I realized he was right. And but we all, no matter what we do, we all do things differently. And that's why cigars are so individual. They're individuals. And that's why we have to try different cigars and see which is the one that pleases us the most, because everyone is different.
I agree. I agree. And one of the things that Carlito has, and I know we're going to be doing this show, and there'll be time where we're going to talk about names of people you never heard. It's people that I met 1, 2, 3 times, but people that Carlito, next side to Don Carlos, grew up. I mean, knowing these people that were real tobacco people, Danielito Rodriguez, Rolando Reyes, Frankie Anessa, I mean, there's so many people we could talk about. I mean, we could write a book. Maybe.
All right, but before we write the book, Professor, let's go back to the chef and see what's cooking. Chef?
Hey, Godfather, I'm here, guys. I'm very focused on my job, as usual. So, look, the oil bath. It's a grapeseed oil bath. And it's rising around 200 Celsius degrees, okay? Very easy. I take my thermometer this way. And it's I'm a kind of magician. You will understand why. I have a flat rice paper in my hand. And after, look.
Oh, wow.
Now, a crunchy rice paper directly out of the oil bath.
Wow.
You see, very easy. It's nothing to do. This is the trick of the day. I take the fat off. It's like a krupuk, Chinese krupuk, okay? You see? Now, I put on a white plate like this, okay? I will pour some herring roe. This way, look, herring roe. Little dots of herring roe. After that, I put some salmon roe. This kind of crackers is beautiful to serve only for the aperitif with a beautiful white wine and in the middle of the table for sharing with friends, okay? What I'm gonna put now, it's a little bit pickled red onion to bring some color. I want something very colorful, you see?
Yeah.
Easy.
Very easy.
After that, a few dry herbs like here it's thyme. What I'm gonna do now is smoked anchovy, little smoked anchovy. Here you are. This way. This is shrimp powder. You see, little shrimp powder I made myself. Dehydrated shrimps, gray shrimps from North Sea on the top. A little bit turmeric turmeric powder.
I love turmeric.
You see, something very visual. And finishing with sea red currant, sea green currant, like it's we say yes, sea red currant. I don't know the name in English, but it's a kind of seaweeds. Looks like a red currant. And fresh herbs, you see. And I have my crackers to share à l'apéritif with good friends in the middle of the table. It's crunchy, fishy, amazing flavor. Look,
Wow.
listen.
Oh my God.
Here you are, guys.
Oh,
It was
wow.
my pick of the day.
Beautiful. Wow. Yummy, yummy. That's great.
That is amazing. And how befitting when we're speaking about blending and we have one of the master blenders of the world of gastronomy right here on Fuente and Meerapfel Present the Professor for all of you guys out there. Christoph, thank you very much, my friend.
My pleasure, Godfather.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you. All right. Well, listen, I see we're crumbling in questions. They're just coming in from every single direction. I have no idea how we're going to deal with all of these. But I can tell you one thing. I hope that there's one in there that's going to nail the professor. So, ladies and gentlemen,
there is one.
it's time.
I'm betting one. All I want is one. I'm dying to see it. I've been waiting all this time. Just one question.
It'll happen.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's the time of the day for the hot spot. Melanie?
Hello. All right. So I'm really kind of dying to ask this question first. And I like the way that they preface it. Stump the professor. So we are all aware that in 1959, when Castro took over Cuba, that the cigar industry moved many of its operations out of the country. But this was not the first time cigar manufacturers fled to Cuba. Can you name the Spanish cigar manufacturer who moved his operations from Havana, Cuba to Florida 90 years before Castro took over due to turmoil in Cuba?
Okay.
Listen, we got to be honest about this. If we
I think that's a trick question.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's a valid question. Took it where?
Exactly. But not only that,
You're on mute, Professor.
I've spent a great part of my life, smoking cigars, working with. I've done a lot of research on history. But Carlito has a valid question from where? Because, I mean, if we go there, when did Don Arturo, your grandfather, go from Cuba to Tampa? And who was this? I know it was a Spaniard, but to be honest, I don't know who it was.
But before Tampa, way before Tampa, decades before, was Key West, Florida. Key West was the first industry. That's where the first Cuban factories were at, Key West.
That's right. Well, you know what? Let's do it like this. Let's get Art on the line because I think Melanie, was it Art who asked this question?
No, actually, it was Art.
It was Art. All right, Art. Why don't you come on the line and be more specific? Because if you're going to stump the professor, you got to stump him properly. All right, let's get you on. Art, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good.
Hi, Art.
Good to have you on the show again.
The individual I'm looking for moved to Key West in 1869 as operations.
Gato.
But that's not the...
Gato.
All right, was it Gato?
The person's name is Vincent Martez, and its last name is Y-B-O.
Ybor. No, but that was it. That's Vicente Martinez Ybor.
Yeah.
He was the founder of Ybor City.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, his great-grandson's a dear friend of mine.
But the thing is, I mean, we got to talk about people who had, had a brand that had something we could relate to, because I wasn't around in 1869. I don't think Carlito was around that time either.
No, but not only that, Martinez Vicente Ward was credited for being one of the first pioneers to move from Key West to Tampa, along with Sanchez and Aya. The first companies in Key West, there were others, and I tell you, I was not aware that Vicente Martinez Ward was the first one ever in Key West, because, he moved to Tampa at an early age, so I really can't. And that was during the time of the Spanish-American War, the first revolution of Cuba, for the independence of Cuba against Spain. And that actually, that's where my heritage comes from. That's where our history comes from Havana to Key West, from Key West to Ybor City. Those are my roots that you're mentioning.
Art?
Yeah.
We gotta think about this one, because this is borderline stumped, not stumped. There's a little bit of gray zone here, so let's deal this one. If somebody nails the professor before the end of the show, more in the face, they win. But if they don't, you've got this one, and you win the bobblehead. Deal?
I'm in.
All right, let's do it. Stay tuned. Back to you, Melanie, for the next question. Thank you, Art.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one is for the lay person. If we can learn what the flavor characteristics of the tobacco from various regions, we can determine how sweet or spicy a cigar is. Is there a chart somewhere or the consumer to check how sweet or spicy?
Look, to be honest, there's a lot of people who have these things on the internet. Some of them, I give certain credit to it. But at the end of the day, and I'm going to leave this one also to Carlito, you can look at a book. A book can tell you whatever it is. But at the end of the day, taste is subjective. What I could find that's spicy and earthy, maybe Jeremiah finds it sweet and salty, and maybe Carlito finds it earthy and peppery. And because he retrohales a lot, maybe he's getting notes of a dark espresso, which a guy next to him could be smoking XYZ cigar and be getting notes, let's say, of a red pepper with notes of sweet dark chocolate. So a chart could tell you about the priming and things like that. A chart could tell you, well, like in Esteli, you have tobaccos that are sweet and earthy, or if you go to La Canela, the cigar is going to have a lot of sweetness, or if you go to Jacagua, it's going to have that. So that's my personal opinion. Anybody can put anything on a chart, but the problem with that is the opinion of that person. And we've always said that taste is subjective. And I'm going to tell you something. Carlitos always told this story. He's told it twice. Don Carlo, to me, was a great blender, had a great palate, but he never smoked an Opus because he didn't like it. It was just, he was just in love with his Cameroon. And the same thing with Carlito. Of course, Carlito loves Cameroon, but if God comes down and says, Carlito, you got to make a choice. Is it Cameroon or is it wrapper from Chateau de la Fuente? And he loves Jeremiah. Jeremiah, sorry, he's going to take Opus.
Infidel.
And I want to agree with the professor 100%. Charts are like days. Every day is a new day. And charts could be a guide for someone who's a novice who wants to get an understanding of differences. But charts they're just a guide. Honestly, you have to use your own opinion, your own judgment. And that comes through experience, from tasting different cigars, from taking notes, and seeing what you like personally, and speak to your friends and ask them what they think and so forth. And that's what it's all about. It's about communication. It's about enjoying each other's company, is asking questions. And there's no right or wrong in this world. This world it's all about enjoyment and all about sharing.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is a fantastic question that came in from Patrick. Melanie, should we get Patrick on the line?
Absolutely. Let's
All
do
right,
that.
Patrick, let's pull you on the line. Can you hear us? Patrick? It seems Patrick's on mute there.
Well, I can ask one little, it looked like there was a question before, so he was following up. So Jose said, there's not our audience, Jose. Is there certain tobacco types that you've decided just cannot or should not be blended together, and why?
Look, that comes down to what the blender really likes. There's tobacco, I'm not going to mention them because I think it's a totally disrespect that a lot of people use that I'm not a fan. There's inclusive one tobacco that I'm not really a fan. And I know 2 or 3 big companies that use it. But I personally don't like that tobacco. But at the end of the day, it all depends how you treat that tobacco. Because I can tell you there's some tobaccos that I would not use them with a year or 2 years. But I had an experience in La Aurora, some tobacco we bought. It was bought for XYZ reason. And we did not like it. It was more to do a favor to somebody. So we left it there. A year went by, 2 years went by, 3 years went by. After 4 years, I'm looking in inventory. I told Manuel, why don't you take this wrapper and let's see what you can come up with. Do this. And he brings like 20 days later the cigars. I forgot that I told him about that. I said, man, this is really good. What wrapper is that? Remember that wrapper you told me that we bought from so-and-so? I said, no, you're wrong. You're always making mistakes. We went into the warehouse. We saw that. And I was amazed. That tobacco changed so much that it was unbelievable. And I think Carlito and Don Carlos had that experience also. And maybe
many times, my friend, many times. Absolutely. No, there are tobaccos that personally you and I don't like. We wouldn't use it. But today the world has changed so much. They're using so many different tobaccos that would never have been used 20 years ago. But today they're looking for different tastes, different flavors, and it's possibly in the world of cooking the same. They're using different herbs and spice, and I have nothing against it. I mean, I have my teachings, my schooling, and it could be different than someone that's young, that's willing to be daring and try different things. I take nothing away from them. I compliment them because tobaccos do change, and tobaccos that you will not use that are 2, 3 years old, you set aside, and 8 years, you go to smoking, and it's a totally different. It changes completely. So you're absolutely right.
That's awesome. You wanted me to go with the follow-up from Patrick?
Well, first I need to share my disappointment because I hate it when the Papo del Humo and the professor agree on everything. I want to see a little bit of confrontation on the show here.
The show's not finished. Wait a minute. The show's not finished yet. No.
Thank God, because I want to see people hitting each other. I want to see the fists up and the spit coming out of everybody's mouth, the fire coming out of everybody's nose.
So is this what you're saying that this is what goes on usually in the factories when they're working together?
Absolutely. We should know.
No, this is why Jose and I have gone for a friendly lunch at noon and left the restaurant at 10 o'clock at night. And the conversation was still not over.
I know it's funny because that day, it's true, it was at El Pasticho, and at 7 o'clock at night, Carlito looked at me and said, I'm tired of seeing you and Ray. Send for Emma. And then we had to send for Emma, and she was there 4 hours with us too.
Now you all understand why we have to sit 3,000 miles apart behind video cameras and screens so we don't, hit each other and start at each other like we do. All right, Melanie, next question.
All right, so Patrick wanted to follow up to the last question, and he said, there has to be an ability to anticipate how the tobaccos will marry and age together. Is there an ability to anticipate that?
No, because at the end of the day, we talked, both Carlito and I, even Jeremiah talked about that in one of our previous programs. Nobody can predict what the crop will be. If you have too much rain, the leaves are going to be gigantic. They're going to be very light. They're going to have very low essential oils. There's not going to be so much oomph to it. Now, you have a year where it hardly rains. You're going to have smaller leaves, a lot of oils. They're going to be dark. The fermentation process is going to be at a higher temperature. The aging is going to be extremely even longer. But more than that, and Carlito touched that subject yesterday, and I even wrote a little comment to him on WhatsApp about it. I talked to Jeremiah. The ligero, which is everybody's talking ligero, ligero, ligero. That is one of the parts of the plant where we're blending that we have to be more careful with it. And that's why you're never going to get back-to-back crops that are going to be the same. So nobody can anticipate it because it's not like cigarettes or, I don't know, ketchup or all those things. But with tobacco, it's totally different. What's up, Papo?
Absolutely. Every year is different, and you have to make adjustments. And you have an idea because of the weather and so forth, what your crop is going to be, especially if you're working the same farms year after year after year. It's just like, you know the performance, what it is, because you have the experience. If you're working with the same farm as we are, we're working with the same farms, with the same crops. But every year is a different year, and you have to adjust accordingly. You have to know. And that's why many times we reduce productions of certain cigars and augment other cigars because we don't work on sales numbers, on orders. We work on our aged inventory. So if we see that there's a certain amount of aged tobacco that we use in certain blends, we're going to have to use more that year because it's not replaceable. We're going to make a lot less cigars that we use that tobacco on, so that in the next 10 years, we're making the same cigar we're making today. And if people keep enjoying them, I mean, but it's unpredictable. It really is. So that's something that only comes with experience, and not experience of 1 or 2 years. It literally takes decades and decades and decades.
Absolutely.
And it comes up to inventory too. You've got to have that inventory.
Yeah, we got a good question that just is coming in from Dave Yancey here. Let me see if I can pull Dave up. This is a great one for you, Professor. Dave, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Welcome to the show. We're glad to have you on live, and try to nail the professor on this one, or just ask your question.
So you had just mentioned that the ligero requires you to be more careful in the blending, and I'm curious as to what characteristics are in the ligero that require you to pay more attention or be more careful in the blending itself.
That's a fantastic question. Thank you.
It's a great question, but it comes down to, first of all, where's the ligero from? What zone of Dominican or the Nicaragua? Or if it's a wrapper, what priming from Ecuador? Is it a Sumatra? Is it a Habano? Is it a Piloto that's grown in Ecuador or grown in there? Because you gotta keep this in mind. Every tobacco has its own characteristics. If you look at true Piloto Cubano, it's gonna have that sweetness to it. If you look at Connecticut broadleaf, it has that sweetness. If you look Habano from Ecuador, it's gonna have the earthiness, the sweetness, a little bit of spice. If you look at Cameroon, and remember, Cameroon is only grown in Cameroon by the Meerapfel family, which I don't even know who those people are. So every leaf of tobacco, whether it's a Viso, or Seco, or Ligero, it has different characteristics. Now, there's a tobacco that I've smoked it a lot, but if there's somebody could elaborate on the true characteristics of the wrapper that's used for Opus, is my good friend. I think we're still friends. I think I still have a job. It's Carlito.
Am I supposed to respond to that?
Of course.
Now listen, the ligero is the most difficult because the ligero is a leaf that has body to the cigar. It has fullness, but a ligero is very complicated because if it's not fermented properly, if it's not aged properly and still young, it could get a cigar. It could take away all the all the fine attributes of the other tobaccos. It would absorb it. The cigar could become, it could collapse on you because the moisture will pick up because it's not cured properly. Ligero is good when it's cured and aged properly. And a lot of people, I think, from what I hear, my interpretation, that there's this, there was, I don't think it's anymore, but I think it's changed in the last couple of years. I think cigar manufacturers are waking up and are realizing that that's a big mistake for many reasons, which I could name, but we don't have the time. That you don't make a great cigar, a strong cigar, by just adding more Ligero, because Ligero is like what Abe said, it's like the bass or baritone in a choir. You need the tenor, you need the trebles, you need the sopranos. It's what gives you harmony. And that's the idea of a great cigar. And Ligero is the most complicated because it has to be fermented very slowly. So you don't take all the richness out of it and all the oils completely, but then it's got to be aged properly. And when you have a Ligero picks up moisture right away if it's still a little young. So you have to be very, very careful with the Ligero. That's what Jose is referring to. Because you use Ligero or more Ligero does not necessarily mean to make a better cigar.
Dave,
and as far as Chateau de la Fuente, I'll tell you one thing, it's a miracle every year I'm able to pull out a couple of wrappers, at least for me to smoke. That is not an easy project.
All right, Dave. Well, listen, I got to tell you something, Dave. This is an example why you got to tune in and why I have to tune in, because after 42 years in this industry, I'm still learning every single day from these masters that are around me. Carlito, the professor. This is absolutely incredible. You guys are getting firsthand things that very few people in the world speak about or even know about. I hope it answered your question, Dave.
It did. Thank you.
All right. You stay tuned.
Thank you, David. Thanks very much. Very good question.
Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the day. We are going straight to Benoit's Baked. Benoit, you're up.
All right. Morning, everybody.
Hello, Benoit.
Hello. What's up? So ready today. So the joke called a man robbing a bank. So the man is a thief. Thief, c'est comme ça qu'on dit un voleur? A thief?
A thief. He's a thief. He's a brigando.
Thank you, Jeremy. So, a man wearing a ski mask and carrying a gun bursts through the door of a bank. Go to the back and give me everything you've got, the man says. So the woman replies, Sir, this is a mistake. This is a sperm bank. I don't give a shit. You go get me what I told you. So the woman goes to the back and comes out carrying a tray full of sperm samples. Open one of those samples. So the woman takes the lid of a sample. Drink one. Excuse me? You want me to drink it? Yeah, drink it now. So the woman, frightened, picks up the sample and drinks it down. The man then removes his ski mask and says, You see, you can do it, Wendy. You just don't want to. That's it.
Benoit,
sorry.
No. I got to tell you something, Benoit. This is being broadcasted in the United States as well. You cannot do this.
Sorry.
You cannot do this. I just want to make it clear for legal reasons and ethical reasons that this show.
That's one of the reasons live shows are dangerous.
Wait, hold on, because my attorneys are calling me. I want to make sure that everybody realizes that this is under European law. This is being broadcasted from Europe, and this stuff is permitted over here.
I promise you, until tomorrow, I am to submit each joke that I want to tell to during the broadcast, Jeremy.
All right.
Good job, bro.
That was good.
Good.
I'm sure. You know what? We're getting feedback from everybody. They love it more than ever.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Awesome.
Keep going, Benoit.
The best.
All right, back to you, Professor.
Thank you, guys.
What do we have now? Another question?
Oh, sure. We got so many questions. Melanie, you want to hit the hot spot?
Yeah, sure. So it looks like we got one from Rich. What tobacco is Felix Mesa growing in Nicaragua for the Fuentes?
Carlito?
Felix Mesa is growing
Wait,
Cuban seed, Havana seed tobacco. It's growing filler. We've been growing now. This is our 6th year. And none of the tobacco has been used yet. It's all being saved for when we open the factory in Nicaragua in Esteli.
but does that mean that did the professor know that? Because then the professor would be stumped, right?
No, the thing is, I know what they're growing, but you know what it is? It's not my, I know the type of seed and everything, but that is, I would say it's not, well, a secret. Yeah, it's our own seed, our own thing. And, you know, Carlito just gave what, you know, we can give out. I mean, we're giving a lot of stuff out, but we can't give it all out.
You got it right, Professor. Professor, you got it right. We're not going to give it all out. These are our own seeds, and yes, it's a Cuban type tobacco.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing once again the behind the scenes of the industry. This is very exciting times, very exciting moments. Make sure you keep watching this show because this is once in a lifetime for you, for me, and everybody else here. Back to you, Professor.
So, you know, it's they brought up Nicaragua, and everybody knows that I worked in Nicaragua 2 years. I've always been a big fan of Nicaragua. And when Carlito talked to me years ago, and I'm not going to get into all the details about Nicaragua, I always had my my doubts because, unfortunately, the way the, you know, all the fighting that has gone on and things like that. But I think that, God willing, if democracy, you know, straightens out a lot a bit in Nicaragua, I know that the Fuente factory will be in Nicaragua. An amazing, how would you say, achievement. And to this, and I don't want Carlito to feel bad about what I'm going to say, but I'm going to take my hat off to Don Carlos, because I know that Don Carlos is going to be up there, and the day we're all there inaugurating that factory and drinking whatever Carlito's going to give out that day, he's going to have a lot of tears there. But that old man up there and Don Arturo and a lot of people are going to be very, very happy. And I'm glad, the same as you and Jeremiah, that we will be down there with Felix Mesa and Liana and Cynthia and all the Fuente family. And that really, to me, is the second coming of a dream of the Fuente family. This is my 2 cents on this, Carlito. If I overdid it, I'm sorry.
Jose, Professor, you touched settlements in my heart, and you brought back some memories I want to share with that people would never know. If I would be interviewed, this would never be mentioned. But for many years, for the last 10 years of my father's healthier days, every day he would tell me, if I was your age, I would be in Nicaragua already. Every day. If I was your age, I'd go back to Nicaragua already. After everything we lost there, I would be back. And, you know, it bothered me because I was very comfortable. I thought, man, we were, you know, we've achieved as much as we possibly could achieve. We're sold. But that stuck in my heart. My father telling me in his way, if I was your age, I'd be in Nicaragua. If I was your age, I'd be in Nicaragua. And when I found out my father was ill, I did everything possible. Went out and bought every property I could. I wanted my father to see that I truly deserved and earned to carry his name, and that I would do this for him. And I made a commitment. I bought that property. The property's there. We have several farms now that we've been growing for several years, so keep expanding. And you're absolutely right. There'll be a lot of tears rolling down my face that day. And you know, the love for my father is endless, and this is what he wanted, and this is what we wanted. And it kind of woke me up and shook me up, and you know, I was in a good place, and I thought that, you know, what else could we accomplish? But I realized there's always more in life, and I feel like be born, and that's a big challenge, and I look forward every day. I know it's a big risk. I'm aware it's a big risk. But so was growing tobacco, Chateau Fuente, and so has been everything my family has done over the many years. It's been a big risk. but it's a risk that I'm willing to take. And I'm looking forward to not going to Nicaragua, but I want to be very clear. There's other people listening. I want to teach the people in Nicaragua. I'm not going to Nicaragua to create any problems with any of my colleagues. All the contrary. I'm there to support Nicaragua, support the people of Nicaragua, to hopefully someday have an extension of Cigar Family Charitable Foundation in Nicaragua, and to contribute to Nicaragua, and not in any way be a detriment to any one of my colleagues who I highly respect, but to contribute to the country, contribute to our beautiful industry. Like I've said many times, we're all one, and we have to work together to protect ourselves because we're facing challenges every day. I really believe in that Nicaragua will be something that will be very important to the Dominican Republic and to our factory. Will be able to give us big support here and vice versa. The factory in the Dominican Republic will support Nicaragua and Nicaragua. Instead of being one brother in the family, we're going to have two big brothers. And I think that it just strengthens the family that much more.
Amazing. Well, if you manage, and you will manage, it's not if, but when you manage to do half of what you've done in the Dominican Republic with the children and everything else in Nicaragua, you can be damn sure that everybody's going to be around you, raising a glass of Chivas, lighting up a Don Carlos, and paying their respects to you and to your father and to every single Fuente that's set foot on this planet, and looking into the future with your children, with Liana, Lidiana, Carlito, Sofia, the whole Fuente clan, and basically paying our respects to what this amazing, amazing venture and realizations that the Fuente family have brought to this world. Because at the end of the day, when you look at what's been achieved, like Carlito says, it's not about cigars, it's about people. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a fine example of doing it Carlito's way. Carlito's way. Jose?
Yes, it's, and everybody knows that, you know, Jasper was born in Nicaragua. Carlito and I always talk about, yeah, I know. Carlito and I have always talked about Nicaragua. My son was born there. We love Nicaragua. And I think that Carlito said it very well. We're not there to compete with nobody because we're all friends. We're just a little bit different. And I truly believe there will be a foundation there. And believe it or not, that's going to make a lot of people there also say, you know what, maybe we should really, you know, look out more for the people and do more for the people. But first of all, we got to pray to God that, you know, the stability continues there, that the elections, when they go through, they go fair, because it's a huge investment. It's a to me, and I hope I'm not out of line with this one, Carlito, you know, I'm very respectful. To me, going to Nicaragua is even a bigger challenge than Chateau de la Fuente, in my personal opinion.
This is where I'm going to disagree with you, but that's okay. I think they're both different challenges. I think this is a subject that we can bring up another time, because Chateau de la Fuente, I mean, I grew up next to Carlito and the children when that was being put together, and I have never in my entire life seen a challenge as crazy as setting up Chateau de la Fuente. And I shouldn't say this live, but fuck, I work in fucking Cameroon. And Chateau de la Fuente brings challenges to the next level. We have a question coming in from Rich. It says, Professor, is anyone stock cutting tobacco these days?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. This would not be a time for anybody to really go out, because to be honest, we don't know what we're facing, what the future is going to be. And like in the case of our company, you know, we have tobacco for years and years and years and years. So what I really worry about is, you know, mostly all the growing season is over, but, you know, the handling of tobacco, you know, still going into curing. I mean, there's still some curing going on in some countries, but really to prepare all the tobaccos and all that. I don't think right now nobody's really trying to go out there and buy a lot of tobacco. I think the major companies will still keep companying the amount of tobacco that's needed. But somebody to go to, like, say, I'm going to buy everything up, I mean, that's my personal opinion. I don't know.
All right. Thank you, Professor. We have a question coming in, which is very interesting, from a gentleman called Tom. Tom, I'm going to pull you onto the line. All right, you're live, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, how y'all doing?
How are you
Great.
today, Tom?
Good, good. Thanks for letting me in or inviting me in. I stumbled on this playing on Facebook this morning, so I appreciate it.
Well, we're happy. We're glad.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Tom. Thanks for joining
Thanks,
us.
Tom.
I'm very new to the cigar industry and smoking cigars. Myself and my police partner at the fire department kind of got into this together. And my question is, as we buy cigars and trade them back and forth, ones that I have are, some of them are coffee flavored, some of them are cherry, different flavors. Should I keep those on the same shelf in my humidor as a regular cigar that I buy?
Whoa, that's an excellent question.
a
Very,
good question.
very, very important. Professor?
Yeah, that's a question I've been asked all over, and I don't have anything against anybody smoking flavors, because at the end of the day, it's all tobacco. It's just different tastes. No, if I would strongly recommend, if you like tobacco especial, what any flavor cigar, just put them in a separate humidor, because that is something that you don't want the flavors, the note, the aromas of the flavor cigars going into really good premium cigars. And again, there's nothing wrong with smoking a flavor cigar. It's a great part of our industry. We just need people to smoke, to enjoy themselves. But that is something you have to keep them apart. And then let's say you only have one humidor. What you do is, if you have 2 or 3 of the flavor cigars, you buy one of those Humi packs and just put them on the top of your humidor in another corner and just keep them separated. You want to keep flavor cigars totally separated from premium cigars.
And that's exactly what I did. I put them in the top shelf of my humidor, got away from all my other ones, because I've only got a handful of them that are coffee or Java or, that kind that are flavored. So they're up on a top shelf.
No, but hold it, Tom. No. It doesn't matter if it's on the top shelf. The flavors and the aroma will get into it. Flavor cigars, you got to keep them, even if you have a 50 count humidor or a 40 count humidor, your flavor cigars have to be totally separate from premium cigars.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes
Hey,
sense.
Tom, that was great. That was a good question.
Let me just add for Tom. Premium cigars are so delicate, they're like a sponge. If you wash your hands with detergent and the detergent has some kind of perfume, you grab your cigar will pick it up and it'll taste like detergent. Premium cigars are so delicate, it'll pick up anything around it. That's why you age in special woods, and it picks up the woods of your humidor and so forth. So I would be very cautious and keep premium cigars away from anything that has any kind of aromas or flavors outside of the cigars itself.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Tom.
Thank you very much, Tom. And come back tomorrow for more questions. By the way, tomorrow is a very, very special day. Melanie, what's up tomorrow?
We are going to have Cynthia Fuente here to bring us all of a lot of valuable information. This is going to be amazing. I'm so excited.
Now, Cynthia Fuente is Carlito's sister, and she is somebody unbelievably knowledgeable, unbelievably graceful, unbelievably kind, unbelievably everything. Cynthia Fuente is the queen of the cigar industry, and the show has the honor of having her on tomorrow, same time, live. Melanie, could you please explain to everybody how to log on to the show and how to make sure that if they've missed anything, they can grab it on social media?
All right, so you can go to, you can look up the Fuente Show, the Professor Show. So you just look up the Professor Show on Facebook. You can find any of the posts have the link to Zoom. Any of my posts, if you're friends with me, also anybody here has these posts on there, so you'll be able to find that. We will have other sites up soon, and we're so working hard to try to make it as easy as possible. If you know somebody who smokes cigars and loves people, or actually just loves people and then maybe smokes cigars, invite them, and you can share the link and they can get in just as easy. So, and if you don't know, just email me, mel@thefuenteshow.com for now.
All right. Well, it looks like nobody nailed the professor today. So the bobblehead is going out. Was it Art? I think it was Art, right?
Yeah.
The bobblehead's going
Art.
out to Art. Congratulations, Art. Make sure that you send Melanie your details. Melanie, get Art's details so we can send him his bobblehead. And in the meantime, it's that time of the day. Time has run out. The questions cannot be answered, but we'll be back tomorrow for lots more great times together on Fuente and Meerapfel presents Meet the Professor. Until then, be well, stay safe, take care of each other and of others. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.